Pakistan's troubled economy and rising tensions with India over the disputed region of Kashmir have dominated discussions during Prime Minister Imran Khan's meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing. China and Pakistan have both criticised India's decision to scrap Kashmir's special status. The region is shared between the three countries. Pakistan is also keenly involved in Beijing's Belt and Road Infrastructure Initiative. China has promised to invest $62 billion in an economic corridor through Pakistan. Khan's visit to China comes ahead of Xi Jinping's visit to India on Friday.
The two sides will focus on the expansion of CPEC developments such as industrial parks, with preferences given to fields involving the people's livelihoods, and extend the corridor to the western areas of Pakistan.
Well, for more on this, let's bring in Aasim Sajjad Akhtar, who joins us from Islamabad. He's a professor of political economy at Quaid-i-Azam University. Welcome to the program, Professor. Now, this is Imran Khan's third visit to China this year. Why is the Prime Minister so intent on keeping China close to Pakistan?
Well, I mean, since this government has come to power, which is a little over a year ago, there's been serious problems of essentially financial insolvency. Although the project, the CPEC project, was signed by the previous government, it's almost even more essential now than 3 years ago when it was inked, the agreement, for money to keep coming in. And so obviously, aside from money, there's also the question of just, diplomatic ties and Pakistan's need for friends, especially following the Modi government's decision to revoke Kashmir's constitutional or extra constitutional status, and the fact that Pakistan has often felt isolated since that in getting the rest of the world to support its position. So China, both in terms of money and in terms of being Pakistan's primary diplomatic ally on the world stage, I think counts for a lot for Imran Khan's regime.
Interestingly, let's talk about the special autonomous status that New Delhi stripped from Kashmir back in August. What is China's view on this? How closely aligned is Beijing with Pakistan on this issue?
Well, as you know, as your viewers probably know, China and India have had border tensions now for the best part of 50 years. Tibet continues to be a big issue. Basically, the two of them in the region at large are both claimants to great power status. So China and India have always, for the long history of tensions. But at the same time, China, I think, from all indications, wants India to be part of its wider economic strategy for the region, the Belt and Road Initiative. The sounds coming from Beijing have always been that we want India on board. And the truth of the matter is, you can't really get around India in the region. So, while, China and India are always going to sort of be in a state of tension, that I think Beijing's position is to make it productive tension. And so as far as Kashmir is concerned, I think China will play lip service to Pakistan's stand on Kashmir without essentially antagonizing India too much, is my sense. And that's sort of what Pakistan's problem is, that it has friends, it has sort of donors, but it probably doesn't have anyone, including China, that's going to help it reduce its sort of diplomatic isolation.
Okay. Now let's talk about CPEC, the China-Pakistan economic corridor that you mentioned. It's worth $60 billion. As you hinted, Pakistan badly needs this money. But is there a danger that perhaps Pakistan could fall into a debt diplomacy trap if it ends up owing China billions upon billions of dollars plus interest on a project like this?
Yeah, of course. In Pakistan, there's always been this projection of China's friendship being different, and especially post 9/11 being different from America's friendship. And that the saying goes, China's friendship is higher than the mountains and deeper than the sea. But the reality of CPEC project and loans is that, the loan arrangements and sort of the terms of the loan arrangements are perhaps only slightly better than getting a loan from the bank or from the IMF or from other bilateral Western donors. So there is that danger. Just today, we've heard that there's a move on Imran Khan's government's part, to grant complete tax concessions to the Chinese company that's going to be building and delivering Gwadar port, which is the crown jewel of the CPEC sort of arrangement. And more generally, there's been fears in Balochistan and in other provinces of Pakistan that CPEC will not really serve the interests of peripheral regions and the peoples of those regions. So, there's a number of concerns about CPEC, and they're old, long-standing concerns. And there's nothing that's taken place during the current visit and since Imran Khan has come to power to suggest that any of those concerns domestically, particularly in terms of ordinary people in Pakistan for whom economic development really should serve, that those concerns have been addressed per se.
Okay, and as we mentioned, the Chinese president is due to go to India on Friday. We'll keep an eye on that. But for now, Aasim Sajjad Akhtar, thank you so much again for your analysis.